A couple months back, Reverse 1999 was released to some pretty decent hype. It had a lot going for it, nice visuals, interesting gameplay, but for some reason or another, I decided to drop it a couple hours in. Why exactly, I don't quite remember. Meaning, it's as good a time as any to hop back in and take a closer look at how exactly the new player experience is here in this game, especially with the new patch and story content coming out recently, and also with how I've somehow managed to get sponsored to make this video. Not at all something I expected, but very welcome nonetheless. So I'll take this time to say thank you for sponsoring the video, and also, let's get started by sitting here for a moment and appreciating this lovely title screen. We can't stay here for long, however, because of course,
the storm is coming. Aha! Are you feeling seasick?
straight away we hear some accents that sound a lot closer to mine than I generally come to expect over an animated cutscene, and then we're back to the classic visual novel style of story. First impressions are everything, and sitting through this initial section, two things are quite apparent. The presentation of things are great, dialogue is fully voice acted, but things are slightly held back by the sculpted scripts. I have no doubt that this has been brought up before, but it really is quite jarring hearing strangely formulated lines being delivered so confidently by otherwise good voice acting. I'd imagine this gets better later, or at least I'd hope that's the case, but it is a shame that we're stuck with this early on. Let's move forward, entering our name on this magical floppy disk, and after a brief scene we start onto the tutorial. Like with many other games, we're handheld through the basic systems. I'd reference here another game, but I don't play that other game, so I can't actually draw any conclusions past the card motif. So yeah, cards. Use the cards to do things, hold the cards to see what they do. Right now, we can only use two of them, so we'll just do that and watch the nice little animations play off. Next up, we combine cards together to get higher star level ones, making them stronger, wiping out enemies and earning us praise about our decisiveness in following instructions, I guess. After this, we get more tutorials and more undue praise for moving cards around. Then later on, introducing ultimates, rounding out the very basics of the combat system. Surrounding all this is a half hour's worth of story filled with information and open ends about all manner of things. What exactly is the storm? The Foundation? Manus Vindictae? Who is Pickles? And why exactly is there a floating apple for seemingly no reason? Many points are left unexplained for us to slowly uncover their meaning. Maybe too many, I'd say. I can only give my own limited experience, and I'd say so far it's felt, for lack of a better word, messy with how much is given for us to digest, along with all of the things that are currently happening as well. I can only hope that this improves over time, maybe as the story builds on itself, but for now, I guess it's fine. If nothing else, it does have some lovely scenes. Moving on, we get a reward for completing the initial story section with a shiny new apple. And then we're put straight back into the main story stages, starting of course with beating up some children. We learn about enemy attack indicators and the various types of cards that we can use, each with their own general effects. Clearing up the enemies, we're led to a scripted pull of the gacha. And out comes a familiar face. A few more guided clicks and we're finally given freedom, able to explore all of the distracting red markers dotted around. Also, I guess happy birthday to this random character. Lots to claim here, mail rewards, dailies, weeklies, still not done with the basic tutorial stuff yet. Here's a graphic about all the elemental systems in the game, called Afflatus. And then some useful things like checking other people's teams and viewing enemy details. Also explained is having cards merge without using an action to move them, really making sure to cover their bases with these tutorials. Here's a boss fight, big ol' health bar at the top and surprisingly close to losing a character here. Hopefully a sign that this game won't be a completely dull stomp until late game. Ending things off with a nicely placed ultimate, and we bear witness to the guy we just saved deciding to. Past this we have some trails, basically little side quests for us to go off and explore. We get some lore in these text dumps, a new character, and another tutorial in the form of a very basic puzzle. This one boils down to use the effective element to kill the enemy. I guess this is a decent enough way to push players in the right direction. Going through a couple more stages, we begin with some normal story battles, a trail that demonstrates Sonetto's ability to disarm enemies, and of course, a question. Of course, I went back to watch the cutscene again, and that's a unicorn, or maybe it's a horse. Apparently not. So I decided to just leave this till later. This trail here is just some grizzly old man talking some complete nonsense as far as I can tell.
Opaque, opalescent glass wine bottle from the ground.
More ghost enemies to deal with from the main story with some help from this Druvis woman. And then another trail puzzle talking about Sonetto's disarm again. There's another trail with the old man just talking about some stuff, more fights, and then I decide to take a detour to look around at what else I could be doing. Lots of gifts piled up, including a free 5-star unit in Matilda from our mail, many other random things, and also a free 5-star selector, something given to us from the new update. There should be at least a couple days left from the upload date of this video, so check that out soon if you're interested. I took some time deliberating and decided to pick no one at all. That's a decision for future me to make. In the character screens we have some clean graphics to explain basically everything you need. And I guess I'll also level everyone up whilst I'm here. Heading back towards the story mode, there's a trail here with another question, which obviously must be a number. Took some time and some light trial and error, or maybe I looked up the answer online, who can say. Pushing through another stage unlocks for us the resource stages, everyone's favourite place to be. And then a couple stages later, here's an interesting duel mode pitting characters against each other 1v1. I'd be interested in knowing if this actually comes back at any point or if it just gets relegated to an early scrapped idea. Either ways, I've found myself unable to get the full 2 stars on this stage, and for that, there's only one solution. Nicely done. Clearing through a couple more things, we get a new unit in Eagle, which I'm pretty sure is a child. Past this, we're now able to use 4 characters, allowing one to sub in whenever someone dies. And also this gives us an extra card to work with. And then onto the last main combat mechanic, I think. Tuning allows you to use special skills to help your characters in a fight. For now, we get First Melody, letting us upgrade a card on command or to re-roll our hand, given enough points saved up. Hey, it's another question, one that I actually reached the answer to before having to give up and Google. Rounding off chapter 1, we have one more fight. Not really one of note apart from the introduction of a very fun mechanic that prevents us from doing, well, anything. And then after that, a nice cutscene to finish off the chapter. A few more things have opened up now that that's done, so firstly we'll go into the wilderness. Every game needs its own room or base building mechanics, so here we are constructing our own little isolated paradise. You can get materials from here for the small cost of a little bit of time. You can build up your oddly shaped, unnaturally hexagonal island and scatter your favorite characters around to make them like you a little bit more. All the classics. Also, it's probably a good time to look at the gacha. You'll see a fair few banners listed here, from top to bottom: the beginner banner, an event rate-up banner, one with a limited pool, a normal rate-up banner with the legendary pickles from that one bit at the start, and then our permanent standard banner. The rates are all the same. 1.5, 8.5, 40, 45 and 5% for each of the corresponding rarities. Pity at 70 pulls, and also 6-star rates will increase starting from 60 pulls if you don't have one by then. When you do pull a 6-star, you have 50-50 odds of it being a rate up, and then a guaranteed rate up if your last one was not. An exception being this banner, which limits the 6-star pulls to only these 4 characters, each with an equal chance to get pulled. Also, I guess the beginner banner, which limits to these 3 shown here. There's a pretty large variance in characters that you'll see here. Reverse 1999 is very unique in this regard. You'll see a bunch of people, and then you'll see mixed in an apple, a TV, maybe a satellite too for good measure, you know, all the good stuff. From these pulls we land ourselves Eternity from the 3. We'll level her up and start moving on through chapter 2. There's not too much I'd like to talk about through here, since it really is just the standard progression for quite a while. Run stages, read the story, repeat. I'm not going to go retell the story points or whatever, because clearly it's much better for you to experience it yourself if you're interested. But I guess I will touch on some highlights, like meeting this slightly deranged looking woman, an interesting change in scenery for a little while, and something to do with oranges, and then unlocking another resource stage in the process so that I can demonstrate the autoplay feature. We do love playing the game by not playing the game, so here we are, we can run 4 times at a single time. Cuts down farming considerably, so I guess this is better than nothing. Reading through a bit more, they finally touch on that wall unicorn thing. They call it the Quiet Raven Heart. So there's 20 free premium currency. Like the idea of questions like this being revealed over time, but it would be nice to know that I haven't just missed it from one of the past cutscenes. I don't have to waste time going back and checking. Moving along, we have some shots of strange looking food, more shots of food, and yet more shots of food. All very plot relevant, trust me. A core system unlocked after this, Psycubes, spelled very strangely, but I'm pretty sure this is how I've heard it pronounced, so we'll go with that. These are basically equipment, giving your typical extra stats, extra effects, or I guess whatever else they might decide to put there. We're nearing the end here. Before we tackle the last few stages, let's poke around that event that opened up a while ago. Small spoiler warning, I guess. Clicking on this thing here, we get greeted with a trailer.
2007?
Yeah. This is the year 2007. Is it not?
I have no knowledge of how I should react to this information, but I can tell you about the good stuff from this new patch. 2 new characters first and foremost, 37 who is out right now, probably only here for a couple more days, and 6 who will be released right after. If you're in need of pulls, you can get yourself up to 20 of them for free, and a lot more if you're a new player. As for the actual content here, I'm a little bit underleveled perhaps, just a bit. There's large set-piece bosses, a new game mode, event stages, and of course, more rewards along with the new story chapters, which I won't be reaching for quite a while. So instead, let's head back and make some headway towards that, shall we? Stage 2-13 is a boss fight with a guy playing a piano, but more notably a stage where we're able to deploy 4 characters instead of our 3 with a backup. After a fair few rounds, I managed to make him annoyedly walk away from his piano, with all my characters just about surviving. Not the actual end here, however, because we have one more boss to go through. Whilst we whittle our way down this thing here, I'll give my thoughts so far. I really don't have any strong opinions about this game, which I think is in and of itself a gripe, I guess. In all areas, it's pretty alright. It's a solid game, interesting mechanics, clean UI, clean animations and such, and even the story isn't at a point where I'd call it bad. I've heard a lot of people enjoying it, and that's fair enough. It's got to be at least half decent. But the thing is, nothing really stands out to me yet. Everything's good, but nothing shines through. I might give it a bit more time to see if this really picks up later or anything, but for now I can really say that it's a pretty good game. It's worth trying if it at all interests you. It also has a PC port, so it's clearly a pretty good game because of that. For any of you reaching the end here, thank you, and I hope you have a nice day.